From eye-catching performances to jaw-dropping stats, Tyrese Haliburton's MVP-worthy campaign is turning heads. So far this season, he's averaging 21.4 points on nearly 49% shooting, and his 11.6 assists per game is the highest in the entire league ahead of superstars like Luka, Doncic, and Nikola Jokic. What we're seeing from Haliburton this season is nothing short of greatness, and it makes you wonder if nobody really saw it back in 2020 when he was drafted as the 11th pick. I mean, how does a player with such huge potential drop down to 12th in the draft? Was the class that strong, or were NBA execs just downright blind? And what happened to the 11 players drafted before him? Predicting how draft players will turn out is certainly not an easy task, but NBA teams have mastered the habit of making the wrong picks when it matters most. Rick Roby over Larry Bird in 1978, Sam Bowie over Michael Jordan in 1984, Johnny Flynn over Steph Curry in 2009, and more frequently Marvin Bagley over Luka Doncic in 2018. The list is practically endless, yet the same mistakes are repeated every year. And 2020 wasn't any different, well, except the world was battling COVID-19, and everyone including the players had to watch the draft from home. After averaging 15.2 points, 5.9 rebounds, and 6.5 assists per game in his last year in college, the scouts were all hyped up about Tyrese Haliburton. CBS called him a savvy player on both ends of the court with high IQ, while The Ringer described him as a genius playmaker who can be a major building block of a contending team. However, for reasons best known to them, 11 NBA teams passed on the chance to sign Haliburton. The Sacramento Kings eventually took the gamble on him as the 12th pick of the first round, but even they didn't have the patience to nurture him into a star. Despite averaging 13 points per game, finishing third in Rookie of the Year voting, and being named an NBA All-Rookie First Team in his first season, Haliburton was shipped off to the Pacers in the 2022 mid-season trade, and that turned out to be the turning point of his NBA career. In his first full season with the Pacers, he scored 20.7 points, 10.4 assists, and 3.7 rebounds. This made him the 15th player in NBA history to average 20-plus points and 10-plus assists in a season, and the first ever player to do so shooting more than 40% beyond the arc. Consequently, he earned himself a first All-Star selection and a max contract extension worth a staggering $260 million. And so far, he's proven to be worth every penny. Not only are his talents undeniable, but his positivity on the court is infectious. There's absolutely no limit to what Haliburton can achieve in this league. But what if we flip the script and look at the guys that were drafted before him? Can we say the same thing about them? When the Minnesota Timberwolves selected Anthony Edwards as the first overall pick in the 2020 NBA draft, there was a strong sense of belief within the NBA community that the franchise had gotten a real talent who could turn the franchise around. Scouts loved his athleticism, big frame, and ability to make tough shots from all over the court. If anyone ever doubted these reports, Edwards made sure to shut them up in his rookie season, where he averaged 19.3 points and finished second in the Rookie of the Year voting. Deservedly, he also earned a slot on the NBA All-Rookie First Team. Since then, his averages have continued to rise, reaching a peak of 26.6 points per game this season. Nowadays, the hype around him has become even louder.
His style, the athleticism, some of the moves that he puts forth, his explosiveness, etc., etc. It's Jordan-esque.
Well, Anthony Edwards is definitely not on MJ's level, but yeah, Stephen A., we get the drift. Selected as the second overall draft pick by the Golden State Warriors, James Wiseman is the perfect case of NBA teams picking busts over potential superstars. And it's even more painful because the Warriors were actually Haliburton's preferred team.
I like Golden State a lot. That was like dream. But I knew they probably wouldn't pick me at 2.
But can you even blame them? Anyone who read Wiseman's scouting report would have probably picked him over Haliburton as well. Described as an athletic marvel who flashes massive two-way potential, Wiseman looked like a star in his rookie season, where he averaged 11.5 points on 51.9% shooting across 39 games. However, injury and poor form have stalled his career. Nowadays, he plays for the Pistons, but his situation remains unchanged. It's a tough pill to swallow, but it looks like Wiseman is going to be a bust. With the third overall pick, the Hornets selected LaMelo Ball. Beyond the scouting reports, which described him as an elite playmaker and decent finisher with a good touch around the rim, LaMelo came with an extra hype that's synonymous with the Ball family. And so far, he's lived up to it. Averaging 15.7 points, 6.1 assists, and 5.9 rebounds, LaMelo won the NBA Rookie of the Year and was named to the NBA All-Rookie First Team. Since then, his scoring and overall efficiency have continued to improve, reaching a staggering 23.9 points, 8.0 assists, and 5.1 rebounds in 22 games this season. He's an exciting player and definitely one to look out for in the future. Drafted by the Bulls as the 4th pick, Patrick Williams was touted as a versatile offensive threat and sound decision maker. But the only thing he's threatened to do is become the worst top 10 pick of the 2020 draft class. Fortunately, that award belongs to another player who's further down on this list, but Williams isn't far behind. His rookie season was mediocre, with an average of 9.2 points, 1.4 assists, and 4.6 rebounds. His career has been plagued by inconsistency and injuries. While I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Williams' stint at the Chicago Bulls has been an absolute disaster. He's running out of time to turn things around. Hailed as a superb defender with a perfect skill set for the modern positionless game, Isaac Okoro was drafted by the Cavs as the 5th overall pick. The small forward pretty much had a decent rookie season, but it wasn't until the 2023-24 season that he started to show his real potential. He's become one of the best on-ball defenders in the league, holding players like Damian Lillard, Jaylen Brown, Scotty Barnes, and Cade Cunningham to under 40% shooting from the field. Unfortunately, the hype around him has died down a bit, but depending on how well he develops in the coming years, he could turn out to be a solid player. With the 6th pick of the draft, the Atlanta Hawks selected Onyeka Okongwu, a supposed good post scorer and excellent pick-and-roll defender. Unfortunately, his rookie season was marred by a shoulder injury that kept him out of action for about 6 months. But somehow he's been able to turn the corner, becoming one of the best young centers in the NBA and earning. And despite playing as a backup to Clint Capella, he's earned himself a 4-year contract extension with the Hawks worth $62 million. If everything goes right for him, Onyeka looks like a future all-defensive team player. Next up is Killian Hayes, who was drafted as the 7th pick by the Pistons. Hayes came highly recommended as an elite playmaker and fluid ball handler. But so far, the biggest highlight of his NBA career was an on-court altercation with Mo Wagner. For context, Hayes spent 3.5 seasons with the Pistons, averaging 8.1 points from 38.2% shooting. That explains why he was released by the franchise and why he's the worst draft pick on this list. Drafted by the Knicks as the 8th pick, Obi Toppin had a flawless scouting report. CBS called him an underrated passer, while The Ringer described him as a pure athlete who runs the floor with grace. But after averaging 4.1 points, 0.5 assists, and 2.2 rebounds in his rookie season, some analysts feared he could end up as one of the worst picks of the draft. Thankfully, the 6'9" power forward is gradually finding his feet after joining the Indiana Pacers. He looks like he has the quality to become an important role player if he gets more playing time, but that's about the highest level he'd ever reach as an NBA player. Deni Avdija became the highest drafted player from Israel when the Wizards selected him as the 9th overall pick in 2020. Initially lauded for his smooth playmaking skills, Avdija faced setbacks in his rookie campaign due to injury. However, he recovered well from that early scare. This season, his stats have soared to new heights, boasting averages of 13.6 points, 3.7 assists, and 6.5 rebounds per game. But he's far too inconsistent and looks more likely to end up as an efficient role player. Selected by the Phoenix Suns with the 10th pick, Jalen Smith was lauded for his shooting skills and ability to disrupt defenses with his screens. However, his rookie season was an absolute disaster. He averaged 2 points, 0.1 assists, and 1.4 rebounds across 27 games. After months of struggling, he was traded to the Indiana Pacers, where he's gotten a change of scenery. But like Deni Avdija, he looks destined to become a reliable role player. Rated as one of the best defenders in the class, Devin Vassell was selected by the San Antonio Spurs as the 11th pick. And while his rookie season wasn't exactly impressive, he's lived up to expectations. Alongside his elite defensive skills, Devin's offensive game has improved significantly. He's currently enjoying his most productive season, averaging 19.1 points, 3.8 assists, and 3.3 rebounds. And it looks like there are more levels to his game that he's yet to unlock. Obviously, the 2020 class isn't the strongest. If we redraft today, Tyrese would be off the board before the 12th pick. But where exactly do you think he'd land?